One salesman laughed at her, another showed her respect. Only one kept his job. It was just after 9 a.m. when Danielle Rivers parked her old silver Honda Accord in the back corner of the parking lot. She let the engine idle for a few seconds before cutting it off, looking at her reflection in the rearview mirror. A plain baseball cap covered her relaxed curls, and a cheap gray hoodie hung over her slim frame. No makeup, no jewelry. She looked nothing like the woman who usually walked through boardroom doors in tailored suits and Italian heels. This morning, she wasn't the regional VP of Fairlane Automotive Group. Today, she was just a woman trying to buy a car. She took a breath, grabbed her small notebook from the passenger seat, and stepped out into the Georgia heat. It was already pushing 80, and the sun had barely gotten started. The Fairlane Prestige showroom in Augusta stood in front of her, all glass and chrome, with flashy banners screaming, "Spring sales blowout! Luxury has never been closer." She adjusted her cap and walked toward the main entrance. Every step she took reminded her how different she looked from the version of herself who usually flew into town in business class and had managers rushing to open doors. This dealership had been on her radar for months. Numbers were slipping, turnover was high, and customer complaints had started trickling into her inbox, more than usual. Some were about pricing, but a few mentioned something worse. Rude salespeople, being talked down to, assumptions about what people could and couldn't afford. Danielle wasn't about to rely on reports anymore. She wanted to see it, feel it. As she stepped inside, the blast of air conditioning hit her face, and a soft instrumental version of a popular R&B song played through the ceiling speakers. A woman at the front desk glanced up, smiled faintly, and then looked back at her phone without saying a word. Danielle paused, waiting. Nothing. She slowly made her way toward the glossy showroom floor, where rows of gleaming vehicles sat under bright lights like trophies. Mercedes, Audis, a few Lexuses. 3 salesmen stood near a desk, sipping coffee and chatting. Danielle caught a few words, something about last night's game, somebody's divorce, and a woman who came in asking about the new S-Class like she had S-Class money. They laughed hard at that. No one approached her. She walked over to a white BMW X5, its hood glinting like it had just been waxed. She leaned in, pretending to inspect the features on the sticker. After a moment, she looked back over her shoulder. Still nothing. Finally, she walked over to the group of salesmen, all of them mid-40s to 50s, 2 white guys, and 1 black guy, all wearing shiny watches and smirks. "Hi," she said, giving a small wave. "I was wondering if someone could help me." The tallest one turned and looked her up and down, starting at her sneakers and ending at her hoodie. His lips pressed into a smile that wasn't really a smile. "Sure," he said. "What are you looking for today?" She hesitated. "Maybe something mid-sized? SUV, maybe. Good mileage, comfortable." He nodded slowly, then glanced at the others. "Well," he said, dragging the word out like he was doing math in his head, "might be best to start you off with something in the pre-owned lot. You know, get a feel for things." Danielle blinked. "I saw a few new ones I liked out here," she said, gesturing behind her. He smiled again, and this time it was worse than the first. "Those can run pretty steep. Might be a little out of range, but we've got some really solid options in the back. Dependable, easy financing. Nothing too flashy." She bit the inside of her cheek. "Right. Okay. I'll grab someone to show you around," he said, already turning back to his friends. "Give me a few." Danielle nodded, then stepped aside and pulled out her notebook. She wrote something down slowly, keeping her head low. Her heart wasn't pounding, but her mind was sharp, alert, watching. But this was only the beginning, and she was about to see just how deep the problem really ran. Danielle didn't wait for someone to grab her a guy. She walked slowly through the showroom, making sure to glance at each car the way a real customer would. She paused by a sleek black Audi A6 and ran her fingers along the edge of the window. She looked over her shoulder again. Still no help. After a few minutes, a man with a short buzz cut and a smug kind of walk came toward her. His name tag said T. Maddox, but he didn't offer a first name or a handshake. Just looked her up and down like she was wasting his time. "You the one asking about cars?" he said. Danielle nodded politely. "Yes, I was interested in this one actually." He raised an eyebrow at the Audi. "You sure? This model starts around 62. Fully loaded, you're looking at 70 plus. That's before taxes. She smiled, calm. I figured. I still wanted to see it up close. He gave a half laugh. Okay, well, it's a lot of car. You looking to lease or buy? I'd like to explore both, she said, still holding her notebook. Maddox took a slow breath and clapped his hands once like he was waking himself up. All right. You mind telling me your budget first? That'll help me show you something that makes sense. Danielle tilted her head. Is that how you usually start with people? He shrugged. With folks who walk in off the street? Yeah, I like to cut through the noise. Danielle's eyes flicked to his belt, where a luxury car key fob dangled like a trophy. Well, I'm still interested in this one. Maddox stepped closer, lowered his voice like they were sharing a secret. Listen, I've been doing this 20 years. I can smell it when somebody's dreaming. Not saying you're not serious, but we've got plenty of certified pre-owned that might be more your speed. You don't want to fall in love with something that'll break your heart or your bank. Danielle felt something twist in her stomach. Not anger, not even shock. Just confirmation. You haven't asked me about my income, she said, or my job, or what I've driven before. He smirked. You're right. I haven't. But I've got instincts, you know. You came in here dressed like someone who's maybe trying to get her first car. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Gotta start somewhere. Danielle's face didn't change. She nodded slowly, writing again in her notebook. You taking notes on me? He asked, his tone sharp now. I like to remember who I speak with, she said. It helps later. He laughed again, but it sounded different this time, defensive. Look, I'm just trying to help. You want to waste time walking around the showroom, fine. But when you're ready to talk real numbers, come find me, or not, up to you. Then he turned around and walked off. Danielle stood in the middle of $1 million worth of polished metal and glass and watched him go. She felt the weight of it, not just the disrespect, but the comfort with which he gave it. Like it was normal, like he'd done it 100 times before, and the receptionist still hadn't looked up from her phone. She sat down on the leather bench near the vending machine, pulled out her phone, and started logging times, names, and faces. But this was more than bad service. This was systemic. She watched as a white couple walked in, middle-aged, dressed in workout clothes, not flashy, but clean. Within seconds, a different salesman made a beeline toward them. Big smile, hand out, whole vibe changed. Danielle tracked it all. The way he opened the car door for them, offered coffee, walked them through specs like they were royalty, all while she sat 10 feet away. But then, something unexpected happened. A voice that broke through the pattern. Danielle stayed seated, quiet and still, watching the floor like it was a stage, and the play had just begun. From her corner seat, she observed 5 different customers come in. 2 left within 10 minutes. 1 never got greeted. The other, a younger black man with dreadlocks and a clean button-down shirt, was told someone would be with him shortly, but no one came. Danielle checked her watch. 14 minutes. He looked around awkwardly, then left. The pattern was crystal clear now, and she didn't need hidden cameras to see it. A Latina woman with 2 kids walked in. She looked tired, pushing a stroller with one hand, holding a water bottle in the other. The front desk woman glanced at her, made no move, and went right back to scrolling. Danielle watched the woman wander toward the minivans. No one helped. Not one person. She could feel the frustration boiling just under her skin, but she kept her face calm, still taking notes, still watching. Then came the moment that shook her a little. The showroom doors opened, and in walked a young white man, maybe mid-20s, wearing basketball shorts and a tank top. No one blinked. One of the senior salesmen literally rushed over, called him boss, clapped him on the back, and started walking him straight to the high-end row. Danielle narrowed her eyes. That man didn't even ask what he wanted. He just assumed he was a buyer. She looked at her own clothes again. Hoodie, sneakers, baseball cap, and then back to the sales team. There was no hiding behind first impressions. This wasn't about clothing. It was about who they thought mattered. Danielle stood up slowly and started walking again, not toward the cars this time, but toward the glass office in the back corner. The sales manager. But before she could even get there, a young guy stepped in her path. Slim build, maybe late 20s, shirt a little wrinkled, but something kind in his eyes. His name tag read M. Caldwell. Hey, he said, I noticed you were looking at that Audi earlier. Did you still want to sit in it? Danielle blinked. His tone wasn't rushed. It wasn't fake. It was just decent. I did, she said, but I wasn't sure anyone wanted to help me. He gave a small nervous laugh. I'm sorry about that. It gets weird around here sometimes, but if you've got a few minutes, I'd be happy to walk you through the features. No pressure. She nodded slowly. Okay, thanks, Marcus. He smiled. You can call me Mark. He led her to the car and opened the door for her without saying a word about money, credit, or what she could afford. He just pointed out the safety features, the engine specs, and the comfort upgrades. Danielle asked questions, not to trap him, but because she wanted to see if he knew his stuff. He did. Do you like working here? She asked after a few minutes. Mark hesitated. I like cars. I like helping people. But honestly, he glanced around, lowering his voice. Sometimes it's like you're invisible unless you fit a certain mold. I just try to keep my head down and do my job right. Danielle nodded. Do you feel like your efforts get noticed? He let out a breath. Not really. I've had deals stolen from me, customers redirected, stuff like that. But I try not to take it personal. I just want to do right by people. That's it. Danielle smiled. That's rare. Keep that. He looked surprised, but nodded. I will. She stepped back from the car. Thanks for your time, Mark. Anytime. And hey, if you need help with financing or anything, just ask for me directly. I will. She turned and walked toward the office she'd been eyeing before. But now, she wasn't going in as a customer. She was ready to end the show. Danielle didn't knock when she reached the office. She opened the door slowly, stepped inside, and closed it behind her. The man at the desk barely looked up. Give me 1 sec, he mumbled, typing fast on his keyboard. She waited. Calm, hands still by her sides. After about 10 seconds, he leaned back and finally looked up. Can I help you? Are you the floor manager? She asked. I am. Name's Jeremy Bottrell. You got an issue with one of the cars? Danielle gave the slightest nod. You could say that. He motioned to the seat across from him. Have a seat. She didn't. She stayed standing. I walked this floor for almost an hour, she said, voice low, even. Watched customers come and go. Watched who got greeted and who didn't. Watched who got taken seriously and who got brushed off. Jeremy leaned forward, eyebrows knitting. Okay, and you are? She smiled. Let's talk about that in a minute. He crossed his arms. Ma'am, if there was a problem, you should have asked to speak to someone sooner. I did. She cut in, still polite but firm. But no one really listened. Jeremy's expression shifted. All right, look. I don't know what's going on here, but if you're just looking to complain about the sales process, I'll have to ask you to put it in writing. Danielle reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out her ID badge. Not the fake one clipped to her notebook, the real one. The one with her full name, title, and company logo on it. His eyes dropped to it, stayed there. Then he looked back up. You're Danielle Rivers? That's right. There was silence. I run this region, she continued. I'm the one who hired your GM, and I'm the one who reads every single customer complaint that comes across my desk. This location has been under review for months, but I wanted to see it for myself. Jeremy's face drained a little. You're here under, what, some kind of mystery shopper thing? I'm here because too many people feel ignored, disrespected, and profiled the second they walk through your doors. And from what I saw today, they're absolutely right. He stood up, defensive. Now hold on. We treat everyone the same. You don't, she snapped. Her voice was louder now, but still steady. I stood there for over 20 minutes. No help, no greeting, nothing. I saw who got attention and who didn't. I heard your salesman laugh about someone's money before they even said a word. She stepped closer to the desk. And that same salesman told me to go check out the used lot without asking a single thing about me. Jeremy didn't have an answer. Danielle took a breath. I'm calling a floor meeting. Now, full staff. I want everyone out there in 5 minutes. But, no but. I don't care if they're closing a deal or sipping coffee. You've got 4 minutes now. She turned and walked out. Back on the showroom floor, the energy had shifted. Mark was at a desk entering data. Maddox was laughing with the others again. But it all came to a slow stop when Danielle stepped to the center of the floor and pulled off her cap. Then the hoodie. Underneath was a crisp black blouse, subtle gold jewelry, and the kind of posture that made people sit up straight. "Everyone, gather up, please," she said loudly. They did, some slowly, confused, others wide-eyed. Maddox took the longest. "I'm Danielle Rivers," she announced. "I run this region. And after what I experienced today, I have some things to say and some decisions to make." But what she did next would shock every person in that room. The floor went dead silent. You could hear the hum of the AC and the squeak of someone shifting their foot on the tile. Everyone stood frozen, staring at Danielle like she had just dropped from the sky. Maddox squinted, confused, like his brain was trying to play catch-up. Mark looked like he'd just seen a ghost, and then slowly started to smile. Danielle let the pause sit there. Let them all feel it. She wanted them to think, to stew in it. "When I walked into the showroom this morning," she said, voice clear, "I wasn't expecting a red carpet. I wasn't expecting hugs and handshakes, but I was expecting basic respect." She turned slightly, locking eyes with Maddox, who still hadn't said a word. "What I got instead," she continued, "was a man who looked me up and down and decided I couldn't afford to be here. Didn't ask what I did for a living. Didn't ask what I was looking for. Just sized me up and pointed to the back lot like I was a joke." The other employees shifted. Some stared at the ground. Others looked at Maddox like they already knew. Danielle didn't look away. And this isn't about one man. This is about a culture. One where people feel empowered to treat customers based on how they dress, how they speak, or what shade their skin happens to be. She turned toward the group now. "I watched it all morning. Who got greeted? Who got ignored? I saw a woman pushing a stroller walk around this place without one person offering her help. I saw a young black man leave without ever being spoken to. Meanwhile, a guy in gym shorts gets the VIP tour without a single question asked." Silence. Jeremy, the manager, stood in the back, rubbing his neck like he wanted to disappear. Danielle took a step forward. "This dealership is one of the worst performing in the entire company. You've had 3 walkouts in 2 months, 4 formal complaints about profiling, and now I know exactly why." She pointed toward Maddox. "Effective immediately, you're done here. Turn in your badge and leave the premises." His face turned red. "You're firing me? Just like that?" She nodded. "You were warned twice before. This was your 3rd strike. I'm not here to argue. You're done." He laughed bitterly and looked around for support. No one moved. He finally tossed his badge onto a desk and stormed out, muttering something under his breath. Danielle let the silence settle again. Then she turned to Mark. "And Mark Caldwell," she said, her tone softening, "you're being promoted to senior floor associate starting today. You'll be part of the leadership training program we're launching this summer." His eyes went wide. "Wait, what?" "You heard me," she smiled. "You treated me like a human being. You didn't make assumptions. You asked questions, gave real answers, and kept it honest. That's the kind of person I want setting the tone here." He blinked a few times, stunned. "Thank you. I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," she said. "Just keep doing what you're already doing, and let this be a reminder that how you treat people always matters." She turned back to the rest of the team. "Let this moment be a reset, a wake-up call. We're rewriting the way things are done here, because if one more person walks into this place and gets treated like I did, there won't be a next time, not for this store." But even with the changes underway, Danielle knew her work wasn't finished, not yet. By the time Danielle finished speaking, no one could look her in the eye, except Mark. The others scattered slowly, quietly. Some went back to their desks, others pretended to check emails or organize papers, but the silence lingered, thick and heavy. Jeremy approached her near the manager's office, his voice low. "I didn't know it was that bad." Danielle shook her head. "You did know. You just didn't want to deal with it. And that makes you part of the problem." He didn't argue, just stood there, shoulders sinking. "I'm giving you 2 options," she said. 1, you step down and transfer to a different location, somewhere with less responsibility, where you can rebuild some trust. 2, I replace you entirely. Jeremy swallowed hard. "I'll take the transfer." "Good call." She handed him a card. HR will follow up. You've got 2 weeks to wrap up. Then she turned back to the floor and walked straight over to Mark. You've got leadership potential, she told him. But I'm not just throwing you into the deep end. You'll be paired with a mentor, and I'll be checking in personally. Mark nodded slowly. I won't let you down. I know. He stood there for a second, still trying to process it all. Why'd you really come today? He asked. I mean, you could have sent someone. Danielle smiled. Because I needed to feel it for myself. Paper doesn't show attitude. Emails don't capture silence. You only understand how people are treated when you walk through the door as a nobody. Mark thought about that for a moment. Then he said something she didn't expect. Maybe being a nobody is how people show their true selves. She looked at him. Exactly. Outside, the sun had moved higher in the sky. Danielle stepped out through the same glass doors she had entered earlier, but everything felt different now. She walked back to her old Honda, the same car Maddox had judged her for, and sat behind the wheel. But she didn't start it right away. She just sat there, letting the moment settle. Not because she was tired, but because she knew what she did today mattered. One dealership down, dozens more to go. But this one? It wouldn't go back to what it was. Not under her watch. Respect is not a favor. It's not earned through clothes, titles, or the kind of car someone drives. It's the bare minimum we owe each other. Too many people make quick judgments, writing people off in seconds based on things that mean nothing. But sometimes, the person you ignore is the one signing your paycheck. Sometimes, the one you overlook is exactly the one you need. So, treat everyone with the same care and attention you'd want for yourself or someone you love, because you never know who's watching. And if you're someone like Danielle, someone trying to lead with integrity, don't be afraid to shake the table. People may not thank you for it at first, but they'll remember it. If you've ever felt dismissed, overlooked, or underestimated, drop a comment below. Share your story. Someone else might need to hear it.